MySpace and blogging, and started finding out about characters like Seth Godin and Jason Kotke and Guy Kawasaki, and I was like, who are these guys? And I started really learning this space, and I said, you know what, I'm going to launch a wine show on the internet, on YouTube, because the one thing I know about wine culture in America is once somebody learns a little bit about wine, they become a jerk-off. And I wanted wine to be more for the people. I hate when people learn about wine and they talk down to people. I want to talk to people. So I launched Wine Library TV in 2006. And to build that show, which eventually had hundreds of thousands of viewers a day, which eventually led to me being on Conan O'Brien and Ellen DeGeneres and Nightline and signing with CAA, which is a talent agency that represents Oprah and Beckham. All this ridiculous stuff started happening. And I had a good show, and I believe that content is very much king, and I love content. I know we all think about content. But the way I built my show was by leveraging social, by leveraging this new phenomenon at the time in '06, which was Twitter, by leveraging Facebook. At first I had to be careful with Facebook, because in '06 it was still very much a college play. So I didn't want to be the creepy old guy selling wine to the kids, so I had to wait a year or two. But eventually using Facebook, what was really fascinating for me is that a couple years ago when I started VaynerMedia, which is a social media agency with my brother, and we handle clients like PepsiCo and GE and Campbell's and Green Mountain Coffee, so it's no longer the size of my family business. You know, no longer is it a small $70, $80, $90 million business. I'm now dealing with brands that are multi-billion dollar, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies at scale. And we all talk about what's the ROI of social media. There's a lot of brands in the room tonight. And really, you know, all this stuff is very fascinating and interesting, but at the end of the day, if this stuff does not sell stuff, if this stuff does not convert, this is business. When I talk about social, I talk from the filter of business. To me, I'm very aware of what's happening with social media in the Middle East and turning over governments, social good, raising money, curing, helping people, discovering things. There's a lot of things it's doing. But for me, what is most interesting is how is this phenomenon impacting business? Let me stand here in front of you today as somebody who's been all in, obsessed, 24/7, 365 when it comes to social media. Thank you. Let me tell you one thing. There is no such thing as social media. Let me explain. Social media is a word that we are collectively using in the universe today to talk about the current state of the internet. It's a word that we use to describe the websites that are most prominent in our world. As a matter of fact, many people refer to YouTube as a social media website. I promise you, when YouTube first came out, it was known as a Web 2.0 website. See, what we're all doing, every person in this room, and this room is very smart, very smart. Every person in this room, every person in this wonderful country, every person in America, and every person in the world, in my opinion, right now, right this second, no matter how smart we are, and no matter how much time we spend on these platforms, every one of us is grossly underestimating the internet. Grossly underestimating the internet itself. The internet, the consumer web, is 17, 18, 16 years old. I don't need somebody here who's a nerd that says, well, actually, Gary, 1950, I know. Not the 1950s, not the technical internet. I'm talking about the consumer-facing web that we all know. How many people in this room do not remember the world? You are at an age where you do not, I don't mean that you get drunk sometimes and you forget. I mean, you do not remember the world. How many people here, please raise your hand, do not remember the world pre-internet? Raise your hand. Like 6. There's like 6 people here who do not remember the world pre-internet. The websites that we talk about, that this whole conference will be about, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, Tumblr, Pinterest, whatever we talk about, none of these sites existed 7 years ago. We are living through the greatest culture shift of our time. This is the biggest culture shift that we as human beings have ever lived through, and every one of us as marketers are grossly underestimating it. What I came to Istanbul for is one reason: to please beg and implore the people in this room to stop marketing like it's 2002 when it's 2012. We are marketing like it is 2002. I sit in rooms and listen to campaigns and marketing ideas, and I'm sitting there and saying, what are people talking about? The reason I stand here today and am completely convinced that I will achieve my professional goal, which is to buy the New York Jets American football team, is because the one gift that I was given DNA-wise, luckily mom and dad made love on a perfect night to give me the DNA, I understand what I truly believe that you will do that you say that you won't do. I believe that I have intuition into what I know you guys will do, but inherently human beings like to do something. They love to do something. They love to draw lines in the sand. You love to say that you're not going to do something. Please experiment with me. I need your full hand. I woke up very early in America to be here. Please do not give me a half a hand. I am not interested in your head nod. If you play along with me right now, please raise your hand. And remember, lying is the devil, so don't lie. Here's the question. How many of you in this room, probably 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, said the following thing? Said it to somebody in your friend network or maybe in your own mind. How many of you in this room 3 or 4 or 5 years ago said the following thing? I'm not going to get a Facebook account. Why do I need a Facebook account? That's for kids. I will never have a Facebook. Please raise your hand. Don't lie. Lying's the devil. Raise it. I'll wait. How many of you said that? Raise it higher. Hold it up. Thank you. Put it down. Of those people that just raised their hands, how many of you have a Facebook account right now? Raise your hands. And that's it. Thank you so much. No, but honestly, kidding. But honestly, that to me, what just happened is what I spend every day of my life thinking about. 4 years ago at South by Southwest, or 3 now, when Dennis Crowley came up to me with Foursquare, and everybody was talking about, why would we check in? Everybody was like, Gary, why would I check in on Foursquare? Are you going to check in? I said, I'm not sure, John. I'm not really into doing everything, but people will check in. He goes, no, I'll just Twitter out where I am. I don't need to check in. I said, John, let me ask you a question. Tonight, when we go to a bar in Austin, after our keynote, we go to the bar like everybody does at South by Southwest, the big technology conference in the US. I go, if you went to a bar and you checked in and they gave you a free shot of Jack Daniels, what would you do? He said, a freaking check in. We draw lines in the sand. You want to go really old school? I don't want to call some of you out, but some of you a little bit older in this room, you're going to have to go with me on this one. How many people 12 to 15 years ago said the following thing? I'm not getting a cell phone. Why would I want anybody to call me anytime they want? I'm not getting a cell phone. Raise your hand. Don't lie. Lying is the devil. Thank you very much. Just curious. Of the people that just raised their hand, how many of you do not have a cell phone? Raise your hand. 0. We continue to do this. We will always do this. However, everybody in this room continues to market like it's 2002 instead of 2012. And all the platforms that we market on are disintegrating in front of our eyes. All the traditional platforms where we spend our money are diluting in front of our eyes. TV, radio, print. For the last 150 years, and I don't blame anybody in this room, because I did it too for a long time, we have all been in push marketing. The best presentation in the biggest platform, executed perfectly, won. We just watched a great commercial from 1984. Big platform, Super Bowl, great content. They pushed it down your throat by spending $900,000 on production and whatever they paid NBC for the right to push it down your throat. And that's what we all did. Whether it was a billboard, a radio campaign, even when the internet came. We started with radio. We used to stand around radios and listen to the big soccer match. Ooh, that's a good game. Then television. And we watched it. And print, and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed. Every brand in here, all the logos down here, you've been pushing for 100 years. You've been pushing your message. And if you were good at it, then you converted a certain percentage, and that was your business. Even when the internet came, what did we do? We pushed. Banner ads, push. Email services, push. Pre-rolls to video, push. We've been pushing. And now all of a sudden, the internet, not social media, the internet is maturing. It's changing. It's evolving. And whether it's Facebook or Twitter or something else, it actually doesn't matter to me. It's a machine, it's a commodity, it's a platform. It will